Hello, it's Pia Larsen and welcome. Today I want to show you some Christmas cards that I've made out of scrap paper strips. So I've gone through my stash and I found bits and pieces, and I've chosen 3 different colour combinations that I'd love to make. And so these are the colours chosen, and with these colours I can make 3 different combinations, but before I can do that I need to trim them all down to paper strips. And all the bits and pieces I have here, now I want sort of to cut them in 1/2 inch each one, but because of my paper bits and pieces aren't exactly the right size, so I'll still get some strips which is not 1/2 inch wide, but it doesn't really matter. You can choose any size you want, and also the patterns, the stripe pattern that I'm going to make, it doesn't have to be the same width of the strips every time. It can give some extra attention to the card if the strips have different width. That's the word I'm trying to say. So the second thing is to get all of these bits cut into strips. Now it takes time, it does. But once you have that done, you will probably have strips for loads of cards, whether you are creating Christmas cards like me or you're creating other kinds of cards. Here we go, we're almost at the end. Then I've got all my strips ready. And the next I'm going to do is I'm taking a scrap piece of printer paper. I always keep the ones that we actually usually is going to throw into the trash, but me, being a crafter, I always keep them because you never know when you can actually use it for something useful. I'm choosing the size of a die, or the size which is meant to be on the card front. Therefore, I'm using the die as a sort of guide, and I'm using a pencil to just draw some guidelines here, because then I'm going to take my scissors and cut out these 2 pieces. Now, I'm from Denmark, so I usually make cards in the European standard size, but it doesn't really matter. You can choose any size you want as long as your strips are long enough for it. And here I'm just preparing to make 2 cards for European standard size. Now I've found my tape runner. I am very happy with the My Stick, and I use it very often, especially for projects like this. Now I'm making sure that I've got enough of lines, tape lines, to make sure the strips will sort of stay put. Now you always have to decide which angle you want to put your strips on, but, and I almost forgot, always choose the shortest strip you have, because if you don't, you'll end up not being able to use that colour because they're too short. It's a good tip to have when you go along with this. I just choose a sort of, position you want to put them in. First one colour and the next colour, and that I repeat going all over the card front. Now almost halfway through, or more than halfway through, I cut off the excess, because the excess pieces I can then use in the opposite ends, because there I only need shorter pieces. And this way I actually get my cardstock strips to last even longer. So in the end, all these strips I've cut, I can make quite a bunch of Christmas cards. When I've done, I'm just cutting off the excess, and I'm sorting out which pieces to keep for the other projects, and the little tiny ones I just put in the bin. I'm going to show you again, because I'm actually creating 3 cards today, but I'm not going to show you all of them at the same time, because this is sort of so you get the hang of it, you get how it's done, and also that's why some places I am speeding up the process. And here you can also see an example where I'm actually using different sizes of the strips, and it just gives another expression. It just gives sort of more fun to the card, if you ask me. And as with the first one, I do the exact same process, and I can reuse some of the scraps and cut off pieces to sort of finish off the next one. So now I've got all three ready, and the next step is to take my die cutting machine and then the die I used as a guide. When I've run it through my die cutting machine, I then have my card front. I have it ready to put it on a card. And when this is done, then we just have to decide what to put on of text and embellishments. Exactly. I recently bought this Hero Art Merry Christmas banner die and it's amazing. I'm so happy I got it. And I didn't get it when it was just newly released. I didn't know, but I found it and I'm so happy. And now I'm choosing the cardstock colours that I want to make the text banner in. Now the good thing about this die, or this text banner, is you don't really need that much more than that. So it's amazing for quick cards. Now these cards I'm creating today is actually going to be donated to the Danish Operation Right Home. So easy cards where you use your scrap paper is a bonus when you can donate them to a good organisation. Now if I want to sort of pimp up these cards, I can put the card fronts on a mat. So what I'm doing now is that I'm choosing the colours I want to use for the mat of the cards. And I basically just do that. The banner die colour I've used, I'm also going to use the same colour of cardstock for the mat. Now I am sort of a girl who always wants the most out of my materials. So if I'm needing a mat for a card front, I always make sure to use or save the cardstock which is hidden behind the card front, and that way I get the most out of my materials. And this is what I'm doing here, because it's only actually the frame I need for the mat, whereas the other piece I can save and use for another project. For example, more strips to make more cards. So it's a never-ending stories. Never-ending story for a scrapper. Yep, that's the world we live in. I found another piece of scrap which is just almost the right size, so I can just glue it on behind the text. And that way I can make the sentiment pop a bit more, get it more visible, because I didn't put my diagonal strips in the same angle as the banner die. If you really want to be particular about it, then yes, you can make sure that you angle your strips the exact same way, but come on, we don't always have that time or how do you say, energy, or just to do that. So, and it doesn't really matter, does it? Well, some of you might think it matters, but I don't think it matters. So therefore, I don't give a shit about it in a way, but it still makes the sentiment pop more when you give it a colour behind. Okay, I'm using a piece of glass, thick glass, as a paperweight, to sort of a weight when the glue is drying off. I am married to a husband. Well, yeah, I've got a husband, but I'm married to a glacier. So he has a glacier business. So I've got pieces of glass that he's cut for me, and I use it as paperweights, and it works wonders. And it helps that you can see through what you actually have lying behind. And so when you're gluing stuff with the liquid glue, you can also keep an eye on that it doesn't shift while it's drying. Now that is really nice, because liquid glue can really, it's a live thing. So it can really sometimes do a number on you when you least expect it, and then it's all crooked and you go like, oh, bummer, my project is ruined. Okay, that was not what we're going to talk about now. Okay, I'm continuing with the card and I'm almost there. I just want the sentiment banner to get a bit more dimension, so I'm finding bits and pieces of fun foam to put behind the banner and just give it a little bit more pop. These are also scraps. I save all bits and pieces I have of fun foam because, as you can see now, you can always find somewhere some project to use it for. And here again, I'm using liquid glue, and then again, my piece of glass is coming in handy when I'm gluing it on to the card front, so I can keep an eye on that nothing shifts when it's, oh, there we go, I got glue on my work surface. Oh well, things happen. Sometimes things just doesn't go according to plan, does it? No, that's life. And sometimes it just, turns into shit. No, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. It's just, COVID-19 and all that. Trying to stay positive, have fun, and creating Christmas cards, because at least, let's face it, that's quite cosy and a nice thing to do. Now, I want to give the card just a little bit extra detail. So I've got these holly leaves that I've made early on by clearly besotted stamps, and I'm giving them a little bit of glue and putting them on. And here is the finished card. And you get to see other cards as well. Here's a square card I've made as well. You can see how changing up the details and the size and colours actually makes it quite interesting and fun. And this is what I wanted to show you today. Easy cards out of paper scraps and strips. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.